Welcome to Sense of Style. I'm Stuart. 8 fragrances extroverts wear when they want to get attention. Now, I am not an extrovert. I am an introvert. However, I'm also aware of the dangers of getting more attention when you don't really want it. So these are 8 fragrances. If I'm going to be with a lot of people that I don't know, I am going nowhere near any of these fragrances because they're loud. They're nice. People will notice them. And they'll notice me, and I don't want that most of the time. But honest to God, these are some really, really strong, really good. Most of them are quite modern fragrances, and they really are attention getters. Fragrance number 1, this is Jean-Paul Gaultier's Le Male Elxir, and not surprisingly, I prefer Jean-Paul Gaultier's Le Male Parfum because it's quieter. It's not as loud. But if you want attention, if you want to get noticed, if you want compliments, you can't beat this. This thing is unbelievably strong. It's also extremely modern. It's got 3 super sweet notes, and gourmands are inside. It's not exactly a gourmand, but it's not far off. Honey, vanilla, and tonka. Very, very sweet. At least 8 hours on most people. You do pick up a little bit of the lavender and the mint later on in the fragrance, but oh my God, the projection is off the charts with this. And then the dry down is still very sweet. The dry down is what I prefer in this one. It's quieter. It's a little more spicy, but yeah, if you want attention, this is the one. Fragrance number 2. Now, I've been collecting for 5 years now. I get more and more confident with my opinions as time goes on. Quite frankly, all the fragrances on this list will get you attention, but nothing compares like fragrance number 2. I think it's far and away, if you are an extrovert and if you want attention, you want to get noticed, there isn't anything better. It is Black Orchid by Tom Ford. Number 1, it's extremely powerful. It's a very, very strong fragrance and it lasts a long time. Number 2, it's very modern, so it's pleasant, right? It's a gourmand. It's 20 years old almost, but it really fits in with the modern aesthetic, so a lot of people are going to like it. Number 3, though, is the kicker. This has a very strong feminine orchid note that will be noticed and might get people asking you questions. They will certainly do a double take with most men if they're wearing this. And that is a super attention getter if you really want it. Now, it is not a pink orchid. This is called Black Orchid. So it's not like the orchid note is going to overwhelm someone with femininity. You're not wearing La Vie est Belle. This is Black Orchid. So there's a dark, sweet, earthy quality that covers up a good chunk of the orchid note, but it's there. And I mean, if you're an extrovert and somebody says, well, you smell like a woman, you can handle yourself in a situation like that. You can get the conversation going. You can say this is true. Even though it is marketed to women, it's mostly a unisex fragrance that leans slightly female. This is a fragrance that Michael Jackson wore. That's another conversation starter. So yeah, this one, yeah, if you want to get to meet people, buy a bottle of this. Fragrance number 3, this is Givenchy Gentleman Reserve Privee. And this is a fragrance that not only is this Givenchy's best fragrance for men right now, I honestly believe this is Givenchy's best fragrance that they've ever made for men. Now, I did a video that I haven't released on the entire Givenchy line for men. I've done a lot of research on it, and this one is, I don't think anything comes close to this. I mean, we are familiar with how popular this is now, but even historically, nothing beats a fragrance like this. And you don't have to worry about any kind of feminine stuff with this one. It's a very masculine fragrance, thanks to the use of amber instead of vanilla. So it's got a whiskey note, which is quite masculine, but it's not overwhelmed with vanilla. It's got an amber note. So there's amber sweetness. There's some chestnut in it as well. And there's some iris for sophistication. I mean, you get great performance with it. You're going to smell masculine. You are going to get noticed. It's a super nice fragrance. Fragrance number 4, this is Mandorlo di Sicilia, and this is by Acqua di Parma. And Acqua di Parma is not a house that I would normally talk about for extroverts. It really isn't. It is a sophisticated house. I tried like at least a dozen of their fragrances. And they're sophisticated. They're high quality. And, if you're a man in a three-piece suit kind of thing, it works great. This one is an exception. This one is very, very sweet and quite loud. So it doesn't really fit in the whole Acqua de Parma genre. The fact that it's sweet and gourmandy makes it fit right into the current trends of gourmands. This would be great if you're, 35 and under kind of thing. It's really nice. So basically, Mandorlo means almond, right? So Sicilian almond. There's a lot of vanilla that goes with that. Then there is an anise note. Now, I'm getting more and more familiar with anise. I used to just compare it to licorice. It's not exactly licorice. It's like a spicy licorice. It's a spice that smells licoricey. Really, I like it better than licorice. And then it also has peach and orange. I mean, it just smells awesome. It smells like root beer, or some people think that. I think it smells like that, and I love root beer. I love this scent, and it is, I think, stronger than anything else I've ever tried from Acqua de Parma. So this is kind of loud. This is extroverty. Fragrance number 5 is old school extrovert. This is Pour Louis by Oscar de la Renta. It came out in 1980. Then from 78 to 81, everything that was being made was loud and very, very masculine, a little animalic. I don't know what happened in that time, but yeah, this one came from it. And this one is kind of like Antaeus. And when you think Antaeus, if you know anything about Chanel Antaeus, you'll know that, yeah, it's super strong. It's not something that you want to wear if you don't want to get noticed. And this is surprisingly similar, but a hell of a lot cheaper. So there's a lot of leather in this. There is oak moss. There is carnation, sort of all old school, but mostly a leather fragrance. It has aldehydes, which help. Like if you're a younger guy and you want to try something like this, the aldehydes can make it reasonable for you. But if you're older and you're okay wearing the old school style fragrances, this is still, actually that smells great. This is still a very, very strong fragrance. It's not been watered down at all. It's very deep and rich, and it's still inexpensive. But yeah, you'll get noticed. Fragrance number 6, this is Amber Oud Black Edition by El Haramain. And this is a fragrance that I've talked about in the past. And when I talk about it, it's always the same thing. Amber Oud, this line is a super high quality clone line. Very high quality, about as high quality clone line as I've ever tried. That and the fact that the presentation is awesome here and the fragrance lasts at least 12 hours. The one thing that I've never talked about when it comes to this fragrance, I've never gone crazy about it and said how incredible it is because, I try so many and it's hard to differentiate. The other day, though, I was out driving and what I normally do at the beginning of most days anyway is I'll spray something here and something there and I will leave it and throughout the course of the day I'll have a sniff. And I'd forgotten that I was wearing this and it was on this hand and I smell it, I'm like, oh my God, that smells amazing. I'd forgotten that it was this. This really does smell great. It's supposed to be a clone house. I don't know what this is cloning. I know nothing that anyone has said makes sense to me. It's just really good. So it is very sweet and it's very dark. You're starting off with ambroxan, which is, I think, the amber part of ambroxan, and then benzoin, which is a sweet resin. So you get the sweetness from those two. Then you're going to get some leather that adds to the darkness and some spicy cardamom. As it dries down, it starts to smell a little bit like licorice. Not as much in the open, but the more it dries down, definitely a hint of licorice. And as I mentioned, the performance and the projection overall is crazy good. Next up, we have Carolina Herrera's Bad Boy Le Parfum. And this is not an actual parfum. This is an eau de parfum. Performance is fine for an eau de parfum. Just don't expect a parfum. And what makes this special is that it has a very strong cannabis note. What I get from this most of all, though, is probably the grapefruit. A really nice grapefruit. And then cannabis probably comes second. There's some black pepper to prop up the freshness of the grapefruit. So it is kind of a fresh fragrance rather than something dark. There's leather in it to give it some body, but really think of it more as fresh. So fresh and cannabisy. And cannabis smells really nice if it's mixed with fruit. And I know this because my gym is built right next to a grow-op. I live in Canada. We got them everywhere. So if you want to get attention from not smelling like cannabis, go with Lattafa's Khamrah. And Khamrah is just super strong projector, very gourmandy, and this, this fragrance is in right now. So this is a very extroverty style of fragrance because you will get noticed. And, like I said, it's fashionable to wear gourmands. A lot of vanilla, a lot of cinnamon, a lot of dates, and pralines. Very, very sweet and strong. Yeah, that's a real no-brainer for this. But, yeah, as an introvert, I know what not to wear when I'm going to important situations with people I don't know. And a lot of them are on this list. Thanks for watching.